Whoa. Excuse me. It was a pretty gross burp, and I apologize to everyone involved. For, yours put mine to shame. Hey, it's Megan.
And Sue in the restricted section.
And today we are going to do our spring TBR.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, we didn't really do a winter TBR or anything.
But, you know, we just thought we'd...
I don't know. We thought it'd be fun.
Okay, we just kind of wing it. We just kind of wing it here.
That's, yeah. That's how you describe our channel.
We just kind of wing it.
Just wing it.
Yeah. So, while we do this, we are going to drink this Ozark-style ale. It's called Cobra Scare.
The Great Cobra Scare.
Of 53.
Is that something that actually happened?
I don't know.
In the Ozarks?
I might have to...
Surely not.
Do some Googling.
Does it say? Now I want to look it up now.
Here, you just,
A memory of the fateful summer of 53 from local historian Norman something took the Studebaker into Bob's Brakes and more because it sounded funny, like the muffler was clogged or something. The mechanic popped the hood and hollered, "Pardon the language." Shit, something shit.
No, yeah, that's real.
Wow! There was a 6-foot-long cobra leaped out of the engine.
And
where did this take place?
Springfield, Missouri was a city of about 65,000 people, and at least 11 escaped Indian cobras slithering loose in the streets.
What?
No, that's a real life thing.
Wow, so we just learned something about our town.
Oh, now this one says 14 cobras were accidentally released into the streets of Springfield. Well, shit.
Well, hell. And this is an Ozark-style ale. Did we say that? Which we don't know what an Ozark-style ale is.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah,
It's ale
brewed in the Ozarks from Mother's Brewing, which is here local in Springfield. So let's try it.
Let's give it a go.
Learn some history today.
We did. I didn't know any of that.
I like it okay. It's not the best. It tastes a little tart.
It's a little tart.
Like weirdly tart. Like a wheat beer, but like
a tart
little bit of a tartness to it. I don't think it's bad. I think it's okay.
I don't love it. But I was just drinking Guinness, so maybe that's part of it.
Yeah. I think it's alright. It's not my favorite or anything.
They're not great.
I give it a point for teaching me something.
Right. I learned some Ozark news here.
Okay. Alright, so we picked 10 books each.
We did.
That we hope to read this spring.
And spring, in case you did not know, is from March 20th until June 20th.
So, the first book on my list is Fledgling by Octavia Butler. I actually started this at the end of February, and then I had to put it down because I needed to read other things for other obligations. So I got about 70 pages into it, so I want to pick that back up and finish it. Yeah, and it's about a vampire girl who has no memory of who she is.
The first book on my list is Trainspotting by Irvine Welsh. And I've had this on my TBR for quite a while. I've been meaning to read it. I've seen this movie, but it's about a group of men who are, I guess men and women who are addicted to heroin. The movie is really fucked up, so I'm assuming the book is as well.
I haven't seen the movie.
A lot of it's written in dialect, the book. So that'll be interesting.
The next one on my list is Future Home of the Living God by Louise Erdrich. I might have said that wrong, or I might have written it down wrong. I don't know. But this was actually my book club pick for this month, and I already owned it, so that was great. So it was already something I planned to read. I had gotten it from Book of the Month, and it's a dystopian novel where I think my understanding is like things start to go backwards. Babies are being born that are like more like prehistoric man. Like,
oh, interesting.
Like their evolution is going backwards, sort of.
Huh. That sounds really interesting.
Yeah, so it sounds cool. My sister already read it. She said she started reading it and got sucked in and like finished it.
SueCee?
Yeah.
Huh.
So
hopefully I'll read what I'm gonna do. The next book on my list is MaddAddam by Margaret Atwood, which is the third book in the MaddAddam trilogy. So I've read the first two. I kind of want to finish up that series. I love Margaret Atwood. I really have been enjoying that series. It's like a dystopian series where the earth has been pretty much ruined, and there are only a few humans still living, but there's this like super race of like genetically modified like humans who are living, and it's kind of one particular human is tasked with taking care of them. Basically. So yeah, it's interesting.
Next on my list is Killers of the Flower Moon by David Gran, and this is another one that's been on my TBR for a while. It's one of the books that I put in my 8 books I want to read in 2018. It's about these murders that were happening in the Osage Native American tribe, and also has to do with the creation of the FBI. So it sounds really interesting, and I've heard really good things about it. So I've been wanting to read it since I got it, but I just haven't had time. It's another one that I got from Book of the Month several months ago. So
I heard a piece on NPR about that, and it sounded really cool.
Yeah.
So I might also want to read that. Next on my list is The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. I kind of just picked that book at random because I own a lot of Toni Morrison's books, but I haven't read very many of them. And what I have read, I do really enjoy, so I want to read more. So I kind of just picked The Bluest Eye at random.
yeah, I want to read that book at some point too. Maybe I'll read it with you.
Yes, I can buddy read it.
Next I have Firestarter by Stephen King. This is a book that I've had since middle school.
A minute.
I'll say it hasn't been in my possession that entire time, but I got it from, deleted from a middle school library, and I still haven't read it. So it's one of the books that I made a goal for myself to read the oldest books on my shelves, and it might be the oldest book on my shelf.
Wow.
So actually Robinson Crusoe is probably the oldest book on my shelf. But I've heard mostly bad things about Robinson Crusoe, so I'm wondering if I should even read it.
Might be just time for one to go.
Yeah, but Firestarter, I'm actually not even sure what it's about. I think it's about a girl who can start fires with her mind.
Yeah,
I think.
pretty much.
And also, I've only ever read one Stephen King ever, so I would like to read more Stephen King.
Don't read Dreamcatcher. That's all I'm trying to say.
I've seen that movie, and it was terrible.
I fell asleep during that movie in the theater.
Really?
Yeah.
I rented it when I was a kid, a teenager probably, and watched it at home, and I was like, that's the dumbest movie
About dumb as shit.
seen. That movie's about dumb as shit.
About dumb as shit. So next on my list is I Am Not a Slut by Leora Tannenbaum, which is about slut shaming in the age of the internet. And I'm going to read that as part of the Read Harder Challenge for Read a Book About Social Science, because I think it's very relevant.
Which is our challenge for our restricted book club.
It is.
For April, so if you want to read a book of social science along with us and then tune into our live show, we'd love to have ya.
Do it to it.
Yeah, our live show will be April 8th at 6 p.m.
Central Standard Time.
Next on my list I have A Lesson Before Dying by Ernest J. Gaines. And I picked this up at a library sale a while back. And I was going to read it for the challenge, the Read Harder Challenge of reading an Oprah's Book Club book.
Yeah.
This is about a young black man who is an unwitting party to a liquor store shootout in which 3 men are killed, and he's the only survivor, and he's convicted of murder and sentenced to death. And it's also about a man, Grant Wiggins, who returns to the plantation school to teach. His godmother persuades him to visit this man in his cell to impart his wisdom, I think. I think. Hopefully that's an accurate description, but I've heard really good things about it, and I think it'll be good stuff. An interesting book, because say what you will about Oprah, but she chooses good books for her book club.
She does.
Okay? She really does.
She does. I will make that concession. So next on my list is The Martian by Andy Weir. I've owned it for quite a while now. I have not gotten a chance to read it yet, but I think it'd be cool.
My next one is a book that I've had on multiple TBRs and have still not gotten to, but it's Nature's Nether Regions by Minnow Schilfhusen, a nonfiction book. Again, I have a lot of nonfictions on this list, not a lot, but a few, about nature's nether regions. It's about mating and
It's about animals fucking.
Yeah. And I thought it'd be nice to read in springtime because that's when a lot of animals are
mating
fucking.
season. Mating season. Next on my list is Brave New World by Aldous Huxley, and that is for the Read Harder challenge of read a classic in genre fiction, and I feel like that's a pretty classic dystopian novel.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm going to read.
I read that in high school, but I don't remember it super well at all.
See,
so I really should reread it at some point.
I feel like I've read it before, but I don't remember if I actually have. So I feel like I need to read it just to know for sure if I have or haven't.
Yeah. And I didn't mention that Nature's Nether Regions would actually fulfill a Read Harder challenge of reading a book about nature. So there's that. But the next one on my list is Zone 1 by Colson Whitehead, which is a zombie novel.
Yes.
But it's like, what, 100 years? Is it that long? It's like after they think that they've, you know, eradicated the zombies and they think everything's fine, but turns out not so much.
Not so much.
And this is a book I borrowed from Megan a long time ago. So I need to read it so I can give it back to her.
I still have several of your books, so I'm really not worried about it, but yeah.
It's like wanting to drink out of this, like there's nothing in it.
Colson Whitehead's a really good writer. It's a good book. It only takes place over like 2 or 3 days. It's interesting. Okay, so next on my list is American Gods by Neil Gaiman, because fuck, I've been trying to read this book for like ever, and I haven't read it yet. I've heard really, really mixed things about Neil Gaiman. The only thing I've ever read that he's written is Coraline, and I liked it, but that was a book for children, so I don't know if I will like actual like adult books by Neil Gaiman.
Yeah.
But
I've only read his adult books. Anyway, next on my list is another zombie novel, and that's World War Moo by Michael Logan, which is a sequel to Apocalypse Cow, which chances are you might have heard of if you watch our channel, because I talk about that book a lot because I fucking loved it. But it's been like 3 years at least since I read Apocalypse Cow, and I still haven't fucking read the sequel. And I don't know why.
It's time.
I think I'm just putting it off because it's like when I read a book that I really, really like and there's a sequel, I'm afraid that the sequel will ruin it.
Right.
And so then I put it off. But I need to read it. So, yeah. Hopefully I can get that done this month.
Yes.
And I've owned the sequel pretty much since I finished the first book because I like immediately bought it because I loved the book so much. But I didn't even say what it was about. This is about a zombie outbreak, but it only affects animals, but only mammals. Doesn't really make a lot of sense, but that's okay. Well, it makes more sense in the book, I think. People are trying to, you know, escape all these zombie animals, and it's difficult because when it's like mice and stuff, those are very small.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, which luckily it doesn't affect insects because then you'd be really fucked.
Super fucked. That's terrifying.
But yeah, and it's a horror comedy, so it's really funny, I thought, but also really gory and fucked up. So perfect.
So there's that.
Perfect in my opinion.
If you ever wrote a book, I think it would be a horror comedy.
Probably.
I think I'd probably write like a really dark dystopian novel if I ever wrote a book.
Or your self-help.
Or my self-help book.
Your self-help book.
Which I've decided will be called I Immediately Regret This Decision. Alright, so next on my list is On the Beach by Neville Shute. Sue had recommended this book. She said she read it a long time ago and really liked it. I started it in February, but then it kind of got pushed to the side because I was reading other things. So far, though, I think I really like it. It's interesting. It's about nuclear war has happened, and Australia is really the only living place on Earth still, but they're waiting for the nuclear cloud to hit them. So, like, they know that the world is going to end, and they're just waiting for it to happen.
Death is imminent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I read that in, like, 8th grade, and absolutely loved it at the time. But it's been, you know, a while, so I would like to reread that one sometime soon. Next on my list is Emma by Jane Austen. This is another one from my oldest books on my shelves, and it's a classic, of course. I've only ever read one Jane Austen, and that was Pride and Prejudice, and I liked it. But Emma, I think, is about a woman who like is always trying to play matchmaker with people, but is meanwhile kind of clueless about her own love life. And also the movie Clueless is based on this novel. So,
nice. I do like the movie
Which
Clueless.
is one of my favorite movies ever.
It's a good movie. So yeah, next on my list is Memoirs of a Geisha by Arthur Golden. I've owned that book for a while. I bought it at a library sale. One of my friends said that she really, really loved it. It was like one of her favorite books.
Isn't that mean?
It was Jim Jam.
Oh.
Yeah, Jim Jam loved it. Did you also love it?
I honestly probably prefer the movie.
Really?
But it's one of those cases where I like watched and loved the movie first.
Oh, okay.
But I liked the book too. I've also heard that, I mean, there's some controversy about the book as well. Because like, I guess the geisha that this was based off of, he had told her that he wouldn't reveal her identity, and then he did.
That's fucked up.
Which is fucked up. And also, I guess she said that it was not actually an accurate depiction.
Well, I mean, it's
of geisha life.
Dude's name is Arthur Golden, so like,
yeah,
you know,
I wouldn't expect him to be an authority on the subject.
He's a white dude, so
yeah.
But yeah, I've never seen the movie, and I've never read this, so I'm excited to check it out.
So the last one on my list is White Trash: The 400-Year Untold History of Class in America by Nancy Eisenberg, and this is another nonfiction about. What is it? You know exactly what it says.
Class in America.
Class in America. And I've heard kind of mixed things about it. Mostly good things, but I've heard some people say it's kind of mediocre. But I was planning to read this for the Read Harder Challenge of reading a book of social science, which is, again, our book club
pick of the month.
For this month, or for the month of April, rather.
And then lastly, on my list is The Song of the Forest by Colin McKay, which is a book that I borrowed from Sue, and it sounds really fucking awesome, and I'm really excited to read it, and I've also had it for a really long time. So it's time that I read it.
I think I've had Zone 1 longer than you've had that, so.
Yeah, but I also have like 4 of your books or something, so.
Yeah, I have a few others. I don't even remember what they are at this point, though.
So that's our kind of tentative spring TBR.
Yeah. Let us know what you guys are planning to read. If you are planning to read any of these, let us know. If you want to buddy read any of these.
Yeah, let us know. We'd be into it.
This beer, still say it's alright.
I wouldn't buy this.
I'm glad I only got one. Because it does have like a weird tartness to it. But, we learned about the Great Cobra Scare of 53. So that's something we didn't know.
History.
So points for that.
Yeah.
Cobra Scare.
Thanks for that, mothers.
The Great Cobra Scare. That's the name of it. The Great Cobra Scare 53. I'm a little slow.
So there will be some links down below where you can find us elsewhere on social media.
And if you have not subscribed, then please do.
Please do. And we'll see you next time.
Bye. Bye. I don't know why I was going to point and then
Bye.
Bye.